Welcome to First Time Watching. After the unexpected ending of episode 1, it's now time to dive into the recap of the second episode of HBO's new hit horror series, Welcome to Derry.
And a ribbon in my hair.
At the movie theater, the giant mutant death baby attacks the kids and rips Teddy into pieces. It then manages to grab Phil, and finally Susie, and that's when Lily wakes up from her nightmare. Two police officers stand outside Ronnie's dad's house. They suspect him of killing the kids. Hank is arguing with his mom. She thinks she can convince the cops that a black man is innocent, but he tells her it doesn't matter. They've already decided he's guilty. Ronnie overhears them arguing about how Granny thinks he should let Ronnie go back to school to finish her education as soon as possible so she can get out of this town. Hank notices her lurking around and calls her into the room. She's worried her dad might be arrested, but he tries to ease her worries. Major Hanlon moves into his new home, and his family finally arrives. His son, Will, runs inside to check out the house while he tells his wife Charlotte about the little scuffle he had at the base. A woman walks by with her dog, clearly uncomfortable with black people moving into a thriving neighborhood. Daddy bought his son a gift, a new telescope. Will loves it, but he had low expectations because his dad is never around. His dad makes an inappropriate joke about spying on the neighbors, but even Will has enough common sense to tell him they shouldn't do that. Later that night, the major is checking the files on the attack when his wife walks in. She's still unpacking when he thanks her for the telescope tip. She was worried he'd buy their son yet another thing he wouldn't actually care about. The town issues a curfew after the death of the 3 kiddos. Marge arrives at school and heads straight to Patty and the popular girls. Patty is forcing a girl to admit who she has a crush on just so they can make fun of her. Marge takes her chance and joins in on the bullying to win favor with the cool girls, except she takes it a little too far, and Patty backs off. But they're quickly distracted when Ronnie makes her way to school and chats with Lily. During class, Marge tries talking to Lily, but Lily makes it clear she isn't in a talking mood. Marge says she saw her talking to Ronnie and warns her that her popularity will keep dropping if she hangs out with people like Ronnie. But Lily reminds her that 3 kids are dead. Who cares about stupid popularity? Will barges into class, introduces himself, and tries to sit down, but another kid kicks his chair and he falls. Rich picks up his pencil and compliments his choice in writing tools. The major visits the colonel, who tells him Masters was the one who attacked him the other night. They're still interrogating him for the identities of the other 2 attackers. On his way out, the major asks if the gun they had on them was a Makarov, an old Soviet weapon. The colonel confirms it was. Charlotte goes out on her first solo stroll through town. When she passes the square, she sees workers putting up a statue in honor of Paul Bunyan, but the townspeople aren't happy about it. She visits the butcher, where old Stanley Cleaver helps her with her order. Then she notices a group of kids smashing another kid's head in broad daylight, for Christ's sake. When she asks Stanley, he just says, "Boys will be boys." Charlotte runs outside and stops them, and both the boys and the townspeople look at her like she's the weird one. Later at dinner, Charlotte still doesn't understand what the hell was going on. Will tells her to let it go, and so does her husband. After their last town, she should know not to get too involved. Charlotte gets irritated that he brought their last town up. He reminds her about the brick through their car window, how that had nothing to do with him, and everything to do with her not minding her own business. That night, Ronnie tries to sleep, but she can't. Her granny keeps arguing with her dad. She ducks under the covers, hoping they'll stop, but under there, she hears a heartbeat coming from the bed. She tries to pull the sheets off, but she can't. They turn red and slimy. Water rises, and she's drowning inside some kind of skin bubble. She manages to push herself free, but is covered in filth. When she looks back, her mom looks up at her. Ronnie has just burst out of her dead mother's belly. Her mom tells her she tore her apart. She asks why Ronnie did it, why she killed her, like she killed those kids, like she's going to kill her father. Ronnie tries to crawl away, but she's stuck to her with an umbilical cord. Her mom starts pulling her in. Her stomach has teeth, and something inside her looks at Ronnie with yellow eyes. Ronnie bites through the cord and crawls away. Her mom stands, tells her to look at the mess she made, and approaches. That's when Hank barges in. Everything is gone. 3 black cadets sit in a bar. 2 were questioned all day about the attack on the major. The other wasn't he, is on some sort of secret mission for the army. The police chief walks into the bar and orders a beer. Dan and the councilman join him and ask when he's finally going to arrest Hank for the murders. The chief says the investigation is ongoing. There's no evidence against Hank however hard they try, and this is still America. The councilman snaps that this ain't America. America. This is Derry. He tells the chief to do his job or be replaced in the next election. The chief looks at the black cadets and tells the bartender to show them the door. They go somewhere else for a drink and later head back to the base. The security guard asks for their IDs. This racist piece of garbage wants to punish them for going out. But the cadet, who wasn't questioned, tells him to inform his superior that his name is Dick Halloran. When he does, his superior tells him that if he wants to keep his job, he'd better let them through. The next morning at the Derry Army digging site, people spy on them from a distance. Halloran is taking a break when the colonel walks up and complains he's tired of digging based on Halloran's gifts. If they don't find something soon, the colonel will make sure the government takes his power away. At school, Lily eats lunch alone and ignores Marge's invitation. Ronnie walks up and tells Lily that thing came back. Patty and her squad notice and mock Marge for hanging around Ronnie. Ronnie tells Lily what the monster said about framing her dad. She asks what Lily told the cops. Lily says she told them it wasn't Ronnie's dad, but she didn't tell the truth either because she doesn't want to go back to Juniper Hill. Ronnie gets angry and yells at her for not keeping her dad safe. Rich and Will are eating in the hallway when Patty and her girls walk by. Rich is madly in love with Marge. A kid enters the hallway and Rich tells Will to run. The kid throws a stink bomb. Will runs and crashes into his teacher, knocking her over. Charlotte is on another shopping trip when she stumbles into a second-hand antique store. Rose, the owner, sold her husband the telescope. Now they're looking for more furniture to fill the house. After school, in detention, Ronnie keeps her distance from Will, who still reeks. Ronnie tells him he doesn't have to study as long as he stays in the room, but then she realizes he's actually into science. She calls him weird, and he says it takes one to know one. There's a commotion outside. The police have arrived to take Lily to the station. At the station, Lily sits with the police chief. He asks again if she's sure she didn't see Ronnie's dad the night the kids died. He makes one thing clear: if she hasn't seen anyone do the killings, it usually doesn't take long before the witness becomes the suspect. He says people hear stories about a girl with emotional problems, so he suggests taking her back to Juniper Hill for a few days to get her checked out. This will calm the town down. Lily begs him not to. He says he doesn't want to, but it depends on his next question. Can she be certain Hank Grogan wasn't at the theater the night of the murders? That night, the police arrest Hank for murder and drag him away from his mother and daughter. Ronnie runs angrily to Lily's house and bangs on the door. She demands to know what Lily told the cops. Lily insists she didn't. They tricked her. Lily's mom slams the door, so Ronnie runs onto the lawn and screams, demanding to know what she did. The major walks across the base and passes the restricted area as the gates open. The general is leaving the complex. The major heads to the base prison to see Masters. He shows him the gun handler and tells him it's a Makarov, the same type Masters pointed at him. It's his Makarov, but these guns aren't common in America. They're difficult to handle and load, yet the man who was in his room handled it like a pro. That tells Hanlon the man in his room wasn't Masters. Masters definitely is a piece of shit. But after Hanlon taunts him and watching him handle the gun, Hanlon knows Masters doesn't have the skill to use such a weapon. Hanlon goes straight to the general's office to report that Masters lied in his confession. He says he'll be filing for further investigation. The general invites him to sit. He admits he wanted to see if the stories about Hanlon's brain injury were true. They say he lost his ability to feel fear. He's been searching for someone like that, so the assault was a test to see if Hanlon was the man they needed. The general has a proposal. Lily goes shopping for her mom, but she's jumpy after everything that's happened, and the other shoppers avoid her. The aisles start shifting, trapping her. They whisper strange things. The people follow her and act weird. A man follows her closely. The announcements call her crazy, and she speeds up until she's blocked in. On the shelves are surreal boxes with Maddie's, Susie's, Phil's, and Teddy's rotting faces. As she runs back, she's trapped between aisles of pickle jars. The lights flicker. She approaches a jar with her father's face inside. She picks it up and smashes it. The other jars shake, each containing different body parts. They all fall to the floor and wriggle together into a crawling tentacle creature. A tentacle grabs her as the monster crawls over her. Then when the store clerk finds her beside a broken pickle jar, it's all gone. He demands to know what's wrong with her. The general takes the major to the restricted area. He explains that the Cubans and Soviets once planned to hide nuclear missiles in Havana so they could strike America within minutes. What they're creating here is their best and only hope of preventing that. He welcomes him to Operation Decept, their only chance to stop the Cold War before it begins. Hanlon asks if they're building a weapon, but the general says no, they're searching for one. Something buried itself deeply below Derry long ago, something he is uniquely qualified to find. This weapon generates fear enough to kill anyone who gets close. They don't know where it came from or how it works, only that it's surrounded by several beacon-like structures. When they find those, they'll find the weapon, and they need the major to secure it. Halloran and the colonel. Enter they found something at one of the dig sites. A car arrives at Juniper Hill. Lily's mom takes her back. The orderlies bring her inside the asylum. At the dig site, they climb the lookout tower to examine the findings. They pull an old car from the ground, and inside, there are a bunch of human skeletons. They're getting close. And that's a wrap. Hope you liked episode 2. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video of episode 3.